Every day, we make choices that seem small, insignificant even. We think that a single decision here or there doesn't matter, but sometimes one tiny mistake, one overlooked detail can quietly sabotage everything we're trying to build. Today, I want to talk about something deceptively simple, something that happens every single morning for most of us. It's your first meal of the day. You might be thinking it's just breakfast, what could go wrong? But the truth is, the way you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. That one overlooked habit, that one small mistake can ripple through your life in ways you don't even notice, quietly draining your energy, clouding your focus, and eroding your potential. You wake up, your body is signaling for fuel, for energy, for life, and yet so many of us make the same error over and over again. We grab whatever is convenient, whatever is fast, whatever seems harmless. We reach for sugar-laden cereals, plain white bread, sugary coffee drinks, or skip the meal entirely because we're too busy or not hungry yet. We tell ourselves it's okay, that we'll make up for it later. But here's the hard truth. Your body, your mind, your energy, they are not forgiving. They respond directly to what you put in them. That one mistake, the first meal done wrong, can steal your clarity, your motivation, your resilience before the day even truly begins. Think about it. How often have you felt groggy an hour into your morning? How often has your mind felt foggy, your patience thin, your energy depleted before you've even faced your first challenge? That is not just chance. That is the echo of the first meal that didn't nourish you properly. And it's not just about food. It's about respect. Respect for your body. Respect for your potential. Every meal is a vote for the life you want to live. Every meal communicates to yourself whether you value your energy, your focus, your performance, your presence in the world. And when you make that first mistake, when you disregard the opportunity to fuel yourself properly, you are silently telling yourself that you are not worth your own care. I know life is demanding. I know mornings are rushed. I know it's easier to hit snooze, pour a coffee, or grab something processed on the way out the door. I get it. But the truth is, discipline isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, consistent acts that compound over time. One intentional breakfast, one that actually feeds your body and your mind, can change everything. It's not about perfection. It's not about eating perfectly all day or all week. It's about taking that first step in the right direction every single morning. That first choice is like the first domino in a chain reaction. And when it's the right choice, it can create momentum, clarity, and strength that carries through the rest of your day. I want you to imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and instead of reaching for sugar or skipping your meal, you choose something that nourishes you, something that feeds your energy and supports your brain. Maybe it's protein, maybe it's fiber, maybe it's a combination. It's something as simple as eggs with vegetables or a smoothie packed with nutrients. Whatever it is, you choose intentionally. You make that one meal count. And as you take that first bite, you're not just eating, you're telling your body, I see you, I respect you, I am committed to thriving today. That commitment, that tiny act, is more powerful than you realize. It sets the stage for everything else, the decisions you make, the focus you maintain, the energy you sustain. Many people underestimate the psychology of their first meal. But our brains are wired for patterns. Habits form not just from repetition, but from the emotional and physiological feedback we give ourselves. When you start the day with energy, clarity, and intentionality, your brain starts rewarding you. You feel capable. You feel confident. You feel ready to take on challenges. On the other hand, when you begin with sugar, processed carbs, or nothing at all, your brain is literally sending out signals of instability, of crash, of lack of control. That one mistake triggers a cascade of choices that reinforce lethargy, distraction, and indecision. The first meal is not just about hunger. It is the first vote you cast for your life that day. I also want to speak to the emotional aspect. The first meal is an act of self-respect, but also self-kindness. Think about it. How often do we overlook small acts of care for ourselves in pursuit of bigger goals? We hustle endlessly, we sacrifice sleep, we push ourselves through stress, and yet we forget the simplest act of all, feeding ourselves in a way that supports our best performance. And it's ironic, isn't it? We are often so quick to invest in others, in work, in responsibilities, but neglect ourselves in the very first moments of the day. Choosing a meal, that nourishes your body is a simple yet profound act of self-love. It says, I deserve energy, I deserve clarity, I deserve strength. And that self-respect radiates outward in every interaction, every decision, every moment of the day. And here's the challenge. Consistency is where the power lies. One great meal is wonderful, but if it's followed by neglect, the impact is diminished. But when you commit to this one intentional act every morning, it compounds. Days become weeks, weeks become months, and over time, the fog lifts, energy stabilizes, focus sharpens, patience grows, resilience strengthens. What once seemed impossible, what once seemed exhausting, becomes achievable. And all of this begins with one small, intentional choice at the very start of the day. Now, I want you to reflect on this honestly. What have you been ignoring in your mornings? What patterns have you repeated out of convenience or habit that are quietly sabotaging your best efforts? It may seem trivial, but this is where real transformation begins, not in grand gestures, not in extraordinary acts of willpower, but in the small, overlooked decisions that ripple through your day, week, and life. The first meal is more than breakfast. It is a reflection of how you treat yourself, how you honor your potential, and how you set the tone for everything that follows. And if you can master this one thing, if you can commit to nourishing yourself intentionally, consistently, with respect for your body and mind, you will notice a profound shift. Your energy will be more stable. Your focus will sharpen. Your patience and resilience will grow. You will feel stronger, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. Your confidence will rise because you start to see that you are capable of making the choices that support your success, not just for one day, but every day. And when you see the effect of this simple, consistent action, you realize something deeper. The power to transform your life isn't in waiting for the perfect moment, in finding the perfect opportunity, or in relying on luck. The power to transform your life is in the small, consistent acts of self-care and intentionality, starting with something as simple yet as critical as the first meal of the day. You don't need to wait for Monday or the new year or a perfect schedule. You don't need a perfect kitchen, a perfect recipe, or perfect ingredients. You need intention. You need consistency. You need awareness. You need respect for your own potential. And when you make that choice every day over time, it changes everything. Because success, energy, and clarity are not products of chance. They are products of consistent, intentional choices made in the small moments that most people overlook, that most people dismiss, that most people underestimate. And so I challenge you, not with guilt, not with shame, but with awareness and possibility, to look at your morning differently, to see your first meal not as a toss, not as a routine, but as a declaration of respect, of energy, of readiness, a declaration that you value yourself, that you honor your potential, and that you are capable of making the choices that will carry you toward the life you want to live. Every morning presents a fresh opportunity, a blank page on which you can write the story of your day. Yet so many of us overlook one of the most powerful tools we have to shape that story, our first meal. It is easy to dismiss breakfast as just another routine, something you rush through while scrolling on your phone, brewing coffee, or juggling your schedule. But the first meal is far more than a simple ritual. It is a message to your body, your brain, and yourself about how you value your energy, your focus, and your life. This single moment, often underestimated, is where the day begins to take shape, and the consequences of neglecting it ripple far beyond the kitchen. Imagine waking up and feeling sluggish, unfocused, or irritable before your day has even begun. That fog in your mind, that lack of clarity, that short temper, these are not random coincidences. They are signals that your body and brain are being deprived of the fuel they need. When you skip breakfast or consume something empty and processed, you are essentially starting the day at a deficit. Your energy levels dip, your ability to think clearly diminishes, and your emotional resilience weakens. The impact may not feel dramatic at first, but as the hours pass, your focus falters, decisions become harder, and your body begins to crave quick fixes that often worsen the problem. That single, seemingly small choice sets the trajectory of your entire morning, and in many cases, your whole day. Consider the science behind it. After a night of fasting, your body has used up much of its immediate energy stores. Your blood sugar is low, your metabolism is just beginning to awaken, and your brain requires glucose to function at its peak. Without the right nourishment, your cognitive performance suffers and your body struggles to maintain optimal energy. But it's not just about calories or fuel, it's about quality. Eating something high in sugar, refined carbs, or heavily processed ingredients may give you a brief rush, but it is followed by a crash that leaves you more tired and unfocused than before. Your body reacts like a machine forced to run on low-grade fuel, struggling to perform the functions it was built for, and your mind mirrors that chaos. That first choice communicates directly to every system in your body, silently dictating your capacity to handle stress, solve problems, and engage fully with life. The first meal also impacts your habits and your mindset. Your morning sets a precedent for the rest of the day. When you start with care, intention, and respect for your body, it signals to your mind that today is a day for focus, discipline, and clarity. You are telling yourself, consciously or unconsciously, that you are worth the effort, that your energy matters, and that you are capable of making choices that support your best self. On the other hand, starting the day with convenience, haste, or neglect communicates the opposite, that your well-being is secondary, that your potential can wait, and that your choices are reactive rather than intentional. These early signals shape not only how you perform today, but also how you think about yourself and your ability to create change over time. The importance of the first meal extends beyond physical and mental energy. It also touches your emotional state. How often do we wake up feeling rushed, anxious, or unprepared and immediately make decisions that are reactive or impulsive? Many of those choices are influenced by the state in which we begin our day. Hunger, low blood sugar, and poor nutrition amplify stress, impatience, and irritability. By taking a few moments to nourish your body with a meal that provides sustained energy, you are not just feeding your stomach, you are calming your nervous system, stabilizing your mood, and creating a foundation for better decision-making and emotional resilience. The way you treat yourself in the first hour after waking becomes a reflection of how you approach challenges, interact with others, and manage your focus throughout the day. There is also a subtle but profound psychological effect. Breakfast is a moment of empowerment. It is one of the first choices you make when you are fully responsible for yourself, free from external pressures. Making an intentional decision about what to eat, taking a few extra minutes to prepare something nourishing, and approaching the meal with awareness strengthens your sense of agency. It reinforces the idea that you are capable of taking control over your life, starting with the smallest, most fundamental aspects. That sense of control, even over something as simple as your first meal, builds momentum. Small victories compound into larger ones, and the confidence gained from honoring your own needs carries into every other decision you make. It is not about perfection, it is about intention. You do not need a gourmet breakfast or elaborate preparation. You do not need to overhaul your life overnight. You need awareness and consistency. Choosing foods that support energy, focus, and mental clarity, proteins, fiber, healthy fats, fresh produce, creates a physiological and psychological environment in which success becomes easier, not harder. It is a deliberate act of preparation and investment in the hours to come. When you begin your day with thoughtfulness, your body and mind reward you, making it easier to maintain discipline, resist temptation, and engage fully with your work, relationships, and personal growth. The ripple effect is enormous. One intentional breakfast leads to clearer thinking during meetings, more patience with loved ones, more creativity in problem solving, and more stamina for challenges that arise unexpected. That first meal communicates a message not only to your body but to your identity. You are someone who acts with purpose, who values energy, clarity, and focus, who takes responsibility for the trajectory of your day. Ignoring it, on the other hand, communicates the opposite, that you are passive, reactive, and willing to let chance dictate your energy and effectiveness. The first meal is also a mirror for consistency in life. If you begin your day neglecting your most basic needs, how can you expect to consistently honor larger goals? If you start with carelessness, how will you maintain discipline in your work, relationships, or personal development? Nutrition is a microcosm of discipline, awareness, and intention. By mastering this first choice, you create a blueprint for every other choice in your day, reinforcing habits that build confidence, strength, and resilience. Every morning, the opportunity is the same. You can grab whatever is convenient, or you can intentionally choose to fuel your body and mind for the day ahead. That single choice may seem small, but it is the foundation upon which the rest of your day and ultimately your life is built. The first meal is a reflection of self-respect, discipline, and awareness. It is not just food, it is energy, focus, and momentum, and it is one of the most powerful decisions you will make all day. Transformation does not happen overnight. True change is not the product of sudden inspiration or a single moment of brill. It emerges quietly, almost imperceptibly, through small, consistent acts repeated day after day. Many people look for shortcuts, quick fixes, or dramatic breakthroughs, believing that success, growth, and energy require monumental effort. They wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect opportunity, the perfect motivation. But life rarely offers perfect moments. What life does offer is the opportunity to make small, intentional choices consistently, and it is those choices that compound into transformation over time. When it comes to your day, your habits, and your energy, consistency is the secret ingredient. One intentional act may feel insignificant on its own. Choosing a nourishing breakfast, setting aside a few minutes for reflection, committing to a task with focus, these seem small, almost trivial. Yet when repeated consistently, their impact is exponential. Each act is a building block, a step that strengthens the foundation of your life. The power of these repeated actions lies not in the individual act itself, but in the cumulative effect they create. One small act today may seem like a drop in the ocean, but repeated day after day, it fills a reservoir of discipline, focus, and resilience. Consistency teaches your mind and body that you are reliable and intentional, not reactive. When you commit to doing something small every day, you begin to build trust in yourself. You start to see that you are capable of following through, of making choices that support your goals, and of honoring your potential. That trust is transformative. It shifts your mindset from uncertainty and doubt to confidence and clarity. You begin to believe in the possibility of growth because you experience it in these small acts repeatedly. The brain thrives on patterns. Every time you choose deliberately, every time you act with intention, you strengthen the neural pathways that make discipline easier, focus sharper, and decision-making more precise. Many people underestimate the importance of small, consistent actions because they cannot see the immediate impact. They think, what difference does one small choice make? The truth is, one choice does not transform your life in isolation, but it does initiate a chain reaction. The effect is cumulative, like drops of water that slowly carve a canyon. The body responds to repeated nourishment. The mind responds to repeated focus, and your character responds to repeated discipline. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes effortless. What once required willpower becomes habit. What once seemed insignificant becomes the engine driving your growth and success. Consistency is also a measure of patience and faith. Transformation is rarely instant. Progress may be slow, uneven, and sometimes frustrating, but every small act of consistency is an investment in your future self. When you choose to act intentionally, even when it feels small, you are telling yourself that you value long-term results over short-term convenience. You are planting seeds whose growth you may not immediately see, but which will bear fruit in ways that are profound, lasting, and life-changing. The key is to remain steadfast, to resist the temptation of shortcuts, and to honor the process of incremental growth. The beauty of small, consistent acts is that they are accessible to everyone. You do not need extraordinary talent, unlimited resources, or perfect conditions. You only need awareness, intention, and commitment. A single decision, repeated consistently, can transform your day, your habits, and eventually your life. It could be dedicating 10 minutes each morning to focus on your goals, choosing a healthy meal, responding with patience instead of frustration, or practicing a skill for just a few minutes every day. These may seem minor, but their compounded effect over weeks, months, and years creates momentum that propels you towards success, energy, and clarity. Consistency also builds resilience. Life is unpredictable and challenges are inevitable. One-off efforts may give temporary results, but they rarely prepare you to face adversity with confidence. It is through repeated, disciplined action that resilience is cultivated. Each small act of consistency strengthens your ability to stay committed when circumstances are difficult. Each moment of persistence builds emotional, mental, and physical stamina. In this way, transformation is not just about external results, it is about internal fortitude. You become someone who can endure, adapt, and thrive because you have trained yourself through consistent effort. The ripple effect of these acts cannot be overstated. Consistency in small things often leads to consistency in larger areas of life. When you honor your commitments in the morning, in your meals, in your focused work, and in small daily practices, you begin to carry that discipline into relationships, career decisions, and long-term goals. Your life begins to align with your intentions, not with randomness or reaction. The pattern of intentionality becomes a framework through which you approach every decision, reinforcing growth. Focus and energy at every level. It is also important to recognize that consistency does not mean rigidity. It does not mean perfection. It does not require that every day is flawless. Consistency is about returning to the act, choosing again, and honoring the process even when setbacks occur. Life will throw obstacles in your path, and some days will challenge your discipline. That is exactly why small, consistent acts are so powerful. They teach patience, forgiveness for yourself, and the ability to recommit. Each new choice is a chance to reinforce the habit, strengthen the momentum, and continue the path of transformation. Finally, the essence of transformation through small, consistent acts lies in awareness. You must recognize the power of the choices you make each day. You must see that even the smallest actions, choosing how you begin your morning, how you respond to stress, how you fuel your body and mind, are shaping the trajectory of your life. Transformation is the natural outcome of repeated intentional and disciplined choices. By embracing consistency, by honoring the power of small actions, and by committing to deliberate effort each day, you lay the foundation for growth, resilience, clarity, and success that is sustainable, authentic, and profound. Self-respect is one of the most underrated forces in human life. It is not something you were born with. It is something you cultivate through the choices you make, the actions you take, and the awareness you bring. To your everyday decisions, every day you are faced with countless options, many of them small, seemingly insignificant, yet each carries a message about how you value yourself. The way you start your morning, the way you fuel your body, the way you treat your mind and emotions, all these things are reflections of self-respect. They are declarations that you matter, that your potential matters, and that your energy, focus, and life deserve attention and care. Without this foundation, even the most powerful habits or strategies can falter because they are not supported by the internal framework of self-worth. Awareness is the partner to self-respect. You cannot honor yourself if you are unaware of the choices you are making, the patterns you are following, or the ways you are neglecting your own well-being. Awareness is the lens through which you recognize the habits that uplift you and those that silently drain you. It allows you to pause before reacting, to question before accepting, and to choose intentionally rather than being swept along by the currents of convenience, habit, or societal expectation. When awareness is absent, self-respect is easily compromised because the mind is unaware of the small betrayals to your potential, the tiny moments of neglect that accumulate and shape the trajectory of your life. Every decision you make carries a weight, but the early morning choices, the ones that set the tone for your day, are particularly powerful. Choosing to nourish yourself intentionally is a simple yet profound act of self-respect. It is saying, I deserve clarity. I deserve energy. I deserve focus. I am committed to thriving today. That commitment is more than physical, it is psychological. It communicates to your mind that your goals are worth effort, your focus is worth attention, and your life is worth intentionality. Small, consistent acts of self-respect create momentum. They build a pattern of internal alignment between your intentions, actions, and self-perception. Self-respect also shapes your boundaries, your relationships, and your capacity to navigate challenges. When you honor yourself, you signal to others and to the world that your time, energy, and focus are valuable. You are less likely to tolerate situations, habits, or influences that undermine your growth. When you respect yourself, you hold yourself accountable for the quality of your life. You make choices that support your goals rather than succumb to immediate gratification or convenience. That internal standard of respect creates a filter through which you evaluate opportunities, relationships, and actions. It transforms not only what you do, but who you become. Awareness amplifies this effect because it helps you recognize when self-respect is compromised. You begin to notice patterns of neglect, moments where convenience or fear override intentional action, or habits that secretly sabotage your energy, clarity, and potential. Awareness allows you to step back, analyze the consequences of your choices, and make adjustments that restore alignment. It is the consciousness that transforms mere habit into deliberate action. With awareness, Self-respect becomes not just an abstract ideal, but a living, practiced reality embedded in your daily routines and your decisions. One of the most transformative aspects of self-respect is its ripple effect. When you honor yourself, your energy and confidence extend outward. You become more present in your interactions, more deliberate in your decisions, and more capable of handling challenges with grace. Your self-respect establishes the standard by which you engage with life, creating a feedback loop that reinforces clarity, focus, and growth. Each moment of intentionality strengthens your ability to maintain discipline in other areas. Each act of awareness deepens your understanding of yourself and your potential. Together, they create a foundation upon which success, resilience, and personal growth can flourish. Self-respect is also a safeguard against external pressures. The world is full of distractions, opinions, and demands that can divert your energy and attention if you lack a clear sense of worth and awareness. When you respect yourself, you are less susceptible to being influenced by things that do not serve you. You are able to discern between what is truly valuable and what is trivial, between what aligns with your goals and what merely appeals to short-term impulses. Awareness enhances this discernment, allowing you to navigate life with clarity and purpose. It transforms every choice from a passive response into an intentional, empowering decision. Another key element is the emotional stability that comes from self-respect and awareness. When you honor yourself, you reduce inner conflict, self-doubt, and unnecessary stress. You approach challenges from a place of confidence rather than fear, from a sense of capability rather than inadequacy. Awareness provides the clarity to recognize when you are drifting from your values or neglecting your needs, allowing you to course correct before small mistakes escalate into larger problems. Combination of respect and awareness creates an internal compass that guides your actions, decisions, and mindset toward consistency, growth, and fulfillment. Self-respect is not about ego or pride, it is about integrity and alignment. It is the conscious choice to honor your potential, to invest in your energy, and to treat your life as something worth nurturing. Awareness is the conscious recognition of where and how that investment is needed. Together, they form a feedback system that strengthens every other habit, every other choice, and every other effort you make. It is what allows small acts of intention to compound into meaningful transformation. Without self-respect and awareness, even the most disciplined routines or strategic plans can falter because the internal alignment necessary to sustain them is missing. Every action you take today, from the food you eat to the thoughts you cultivate to the way you engage with your work and relationships, is a reflection of self-respect and awareness. When these qualities are present, they elevate your decisions, sharpen your focus, and amplify your energy. They create a framework through which success becomes sustainable, habits become natural, and challenges become opportunities. They are not abstract principles, but practical, lived realities that begin with small, deliberate choices repeated consistently and observed consciously. Self-respect and awareness are the foundations of personal transformation, the anchors that hold you steady amidst the chaos of life. They are cultivated in everyday decisions, reinforced by deliberate attention, and strengthened by consistent practice. They shape your identity, influence your actions, and ultimately determine the trajectory of your life. When you cultivate both, you create a life that reflects intentionality, purpose, and the full realization of your potential. Every choice you make, no matter how small, carries weight. The first meal you eat, the habits you form, the way you treat yourself, they are not just actions, they are declarations of who you are and who you are becoming. By honoring your body with intention, committing to small, consistent acts, and cultivating self-respect with awareness, you are not just surviving your days, you are designing a life filled with energy, clarity, and purpose. Transformation does not come from grand gestures or waiting for perfect conditions. It comes from the choices you make repeatedly, the discipline you show in moments others overlook, and the love you give to yourself through every intentional act. When you begin to see your first meal as a foundation, your small actions as powerful tools, and self-respect as the guiding force of your life, you unlock a momentum that carries through everything you do. You start the day not as a passive participant, but as the architect of your own success, clarity, and growth. You become unstoppable, not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because you have trained yourself to respond with purpose, to act with awareness, and to nurture your potential consistently. Remember, greatness is not in the extraordinary moments that everyone notices. It is in the daily, deliberate choices that few recognize. It is in the way you show up for yourself before anyone else, in the way you honor your body, mind, and spirit with care and attention, and in the way you transform small actions into lasting habits. Every day is a chance to reinforce that momentum, to strengthen your discipline, to deepen your self-respect, and to live fully in alignment with your potential. Choose today to fuel your body intentionally, to act consistently in alignment with your goals, and to honor yourself with awareness and respect. Make each small act a building block, and watch how the life you once dreamed of begins to take shape in every decision, every habit, and every moment. The power to change your day, your habits, and ultimately your life has always been in your hands, and it begins with the choices you make right now. Take control. Show up for yourself. Respect your potential, and live a life that reflects the greatness within you.